May the 26th, 2023. Guys, I hope everyone has a safe Memorial Day weekend, whether you're traveling or on the beach, whatever you do, make sure that you're taking care of your loved ones no matter what. What you're looking at is called the extracts out of the Book of Enoch, 21st century edition, William Whiston's 1727 pioneering translation. Now, at the bottom, you'll notice that the editor is R.I. Burns, or Bob Burns, and the proofreading that was done meticulously by a friend of our channel. His name is Paul Bruce, and he used to call in on the old Block Talk show, guys. You remember that years ago? And Paul from Denver was his handle. But he went through, proofread all of this, and this is one of 3 books that these guys got in together with Bob and Paul. So, the Book of Enoch, this is extracts out of it. I'm reading it, and what they did, it was a surprise to me. Paul contacted me and asked for my address. He said, I got some books I want to send you. Now, I have a copy of the Book of Enoch, and many of you do too. This is very good. It's deep research. It's showing not only the information that Enoch promised or that he prophesied, but it shows how this book, once the truth was becoming known, was attacked from Christians, from the Roman side, from all the churches, every angle. Why was that? Why were they trying to take this book out? After thousands of years of it being the mainstay, it's mentioned in the Bible, the Book of Enoch is, by the way, but it was so truthful about what the fallen angels and what we're looking at now, the demons that are surrounding us. And Enoch said, not verbatim, he said, this book is not for now. And this is a long time ago, guys. It's for the prophecy of the end times. It's not now. It's for the end times. Now, Enoch was not killed. He was translated just like Elijah was, not Moses. Now, we'll talk about the 2 prophets of the end times, not taking anything away from Moses at all. But he was killed and buried, and the devil wanted to know where his bones were. But Elijah was translated, and so was Enoch. They will be the 2 witnesses more than likely. And again, he said his prophecy was for the end time, so doesn't that fit perfectly? But anyway, Paul Bruce and Mr. Bob Burns meticulously went through this, put 3 books together. They sent me 3 copies to look at. The 1 copy of the 3 books of their work, and then turn around and sent me 10 more copies that I'm going to give away. And this particular book is already available on Amazon. I think it's about 12 or 13 bucks. And there's 3 of them. There's a hardbound copy of the largest, and then you got the extracts out of the Book of Enoch and the 2 others. It's an incredible collection of knowledge. The reason I'm doing this, I'm not trying to sell books, but I think that everyone should support these 2 guys that have put their heart and soul into this translation. And I think it was the hand of God that the reason they got in touch with me. Paul mentioned that he was reading the playlist where I went through the entire book of Revelation. And so what they want to do, they're not trying to sell books, and they even have links to where you can download them free. But it was so important to them because of their love of humanity that they get this information out. Again, remember, it was hidden in this extract book. And we're going to cover a lot of this in the upcoming videos. But it was hidden, taken out, hated. It was like it became part of the council culture of ancient times. Even the Christians were convicted, and they were it was pushed down on so hard that this book didn't belong in the Old Testament that finally the Christian churches took it out. But for so long, it was the main stable of the true information of the Bible. And I can never forget what Paul told me, was that, remember, this was just for this end times that we're seeing now. So what we're going to do, and I guess you could call this a trailer, and I'm going to go over a little bit of it here, but Bob Burns, the author, editor, and Paul, the guy that proofread everything and went through it meticulously, we're going to do a series on YouTube of these books. I think that's going to be really good, because after the book of Revelation that we went through, this really is the leading edge of true information. You know, Jude, the book of Jude, talk about this. Enoch is talked about in Genesis. But it was so truthful, so much information coming out, that they had to try to hide it, just like they're doing now. And so, but it was preserved in the best fragments, and the information was hidden in Africa. They found fragments. Bob has even flown to Israel and looked at some of these original things, and went in and put all this information together, him and Paul. But guys, I think this is going to be the greatest series on YouTube ever. And the timing is by the hand of God. He knows what he's going to do, what's going to happen with these demons. And this book, guys, is going to be, it was saved. He preserved it. It was hidden away because the churches, even the Christian churches, remember, were trying to destroy it and hide the truth, because the demons had taken over all of those powers. But I want to thank Bob and I want to thank Paul for sending me these. And guys, the next video, which will be in the next day or two, I'm going to give you information again. They sent me my copies of the 3. Then they sent me 30 more books. In other words, 10 copies of all 3 of the sections. We're going to give those away. I may put up my Facebook information where you can privately message, and the first 10 people watching the videos will get these sent to them. But again, you can also go to Amazon and get this one and the other books. The other books, again, are here. This is the big hardback. It's the Book of Enoch, the Messianic Prophecy Edition. Again, Robert Burns at the bottom, and our friend Paul Bruce doing the proofreading. So the second expanded edition of Matt, just think about the titles. Again, you can get these on Amazon. Messianic Prophecy Edition. And this was long before Christ. Enoch was. And guys, you're going to be amazed. I'm still reading them. I've read one of the books of Enoch that many of us have talked about before. But them breaking this down into these different sections, and especially the first one, about the extracts, and explaining how heavily the book of Enoch, once the demons in charge realized that this truth did not be exposed, it's just like the Smithsonian and other large museums taking the bones of giants and hiding them. They hid this book. God saved it. He preserved it for this end time, and we know what the demons are. There's another book. Let me show you. Again, the third book in the series is John Beatty's 1839 groundbreaking translation of the Book of Enoch the Prophet. And in the cover here, where you open up that book, this again on Amazon, I think it's $14.95. It says, dedicated to Paul A. Bruce, that's a friend of our channel, and Milton D. Beatty, who inspired me to rescue from obscurity John Beatty's unappreciated gem. And again, that's from Bob Burns. Guys, these 3 books, if I had hundreds of them, I would give them all out. But we got 10. But not only that, Paul told me that on Bob's website that you can download this stuff free. And that tells you the heart of these people. You understand what I'm saying? They understood how important it was to bring this information back out, break it down. And one of the key parts was why and how they tried to hide it. But let's take a look at just one of the parts of it. I'm going to pique your interest here, and I think you're going to be amazed at the series. I don't know what all is going to be in them. I know that we're going to go through these books and talk about other things, so get ready for that, guys. I think it's the perfect timing in these end times. God has chosen a certain group of people to get this information out, and it's a great blessing, and I appreciate Paul and Bob and Mr. Beatty more than you'll ever know, and I think you guys will too. Now let's go back to the first book I mentioned, the William Whiston and Bob Burns edition. I've got it open in my hand. I just want to read from it. I'm not going to show you that, but when you go into the first chapter, extracts, it's concerning the fallen angels. It says, "Then it came to pass when the children of men were multiplied, beautiful daughters were born to them, and the egregora, if I'm pronouncing that right, coveted them," that's the fallen angels, "and went astray after them, and said one to the other, Let us choose to ourselves wives from the daughters of men which are on the earth." Now listen, that is Mount Hermon, and this we're talking about Baalbek. Notice also in the ancient Sumerians there were 200 of the Anunnaki that came down same place and took the wives. Just kind of something I've read also. It says they took the daughters of men which are on the earth, and their archon or president said unto them, and this was Semiazaz, one of the fallen angels, I think one of the leaders, said unto them, "I am fearful that you will not do this thing, and I am alone shall be guilty of this great sin." They knew that if they went to the earth and took these earth women, what would happen? What came out of that? The giants. And they answered him and said, "Let every one of us swear with an oath, and let us bind one another under a curse, that we will not alter this our purpose until we have performed it." In other words, they would all be guilty of the curse and the sin. They knew it. The giants were destroying the world, eating the flesh of mankind, the children of these. Then after that, you had another group that came from the same bloodline of when the giants mated with the women. It was a completely different set of circumstances, and we're dealing with that group now. He said, they all swore together and bound one another a curse. Now that were 200 that descended. Again, look up Baalbek, look up Mount Hermon, check it out. It says, "In the days of Jared upon the top of the mountain of Hermon. And they called the mountain Hermon from the oath they had taken and the curse they had bound one another with upon it. These are the names of all the archangels, or the top leaders. They became fallen angels. Excuse me, not archangels." And then it goes into how they taught mankind to do all the things we do know now, especially the sinful stuff. I'm not going to read much more of this. Again, this should pique your interest, and I wanted to give you a heads up on this series. But there was so much here that this was one of the most coveted books of the Bible. They had to hide it. But guys, look forward to the series. On the next video, I'm going to, and that possibly tomorrow, things have been a little hectic, here. But I'm going to put out the information to where you can contact me, and I will mail them. Me and Tina will mail these at our expense. It won't cost you a dime, not even shipping. And you'll get these 3 books, and they're amazing. But when we get with Bob on it, we're going to link you. As a matter of fact, look in the comments under this video, because I'm going to have to go back to an email. I may have his his website address, so look in the comments below, and there, if I'm not mistaken, Paul told me that you can download these free there. Or you can buy your copies. Go to Amazon, look this up. All 3 of them. Get yourself copies, because, guys, if the lights go out, you're not going to be able to look this information up. You're not going to be able to look at it on your computer unless you have solar panels that can keep everything charged, which is a very good idea. But to be able to sit down, and I've been reading, even, you remember I told you I was at the Jackson Neuro Center, and you were in the waiting room and out in the lobby and all. I was reading through the extracts that they had just sent me, this book. It's amazing. And it's hard to amaze me because I've seen a lot of things. But I think it was a blessing that Paul got in touch with me, and now we have Bob's information. And the series that we're planning to do, I think, are going to be the most popular because everyone's searching for answers of what's really going down on these end times. Guys, I think it'll be a blessing. I want to say again thank you to Bob and Paul. It's a heads up. Be safe.